Thank you and welcome back to our very first interview in what seems to have been a while, like months. But what better way to bring back our interviews here at Sight Sounds and Conversations than to bring somebody that we feel is not only appropriate for our Valentine's romance esque episode, but also somebody who is um, continuing to display a continuing evolution of sorts that I would say transcends even that of being a creator. And the person we're speaking of is none other than Enraile. Thank you for being here at this interview today.
Thank you for having me, Manny. I love being back here.
Uh,
Feels like home.
I really appreciate to hear you say that, as we've always considered you a form of inspiration of sorts to look towards here at Sights and Sounds and in a way of continuing going. And with that, I want to start with mentioning the single which is pictured here, which is I Got You Too, which was released, if I recall correctly, on January 13th.
Yeah, sometime around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, one thing I gotta say that I found really notable in this track is how much of an evolution of sorts you have come through since the last time you've been involved in sight sounds and conversations beyond just having like a music video on here. I mean, you've performed here as part of both Enrail, your project like that, and you've also performed as part of iClick as well. And one thing that again I gotta really uh, mention here is how much of this single in particular I feel you've really have laid a lot of your respect and love for different times and genres of a particular style of music. In this sense, particularly the overall umbrella term of what is pop structure seems to really be
Yeah.
on the forefront here. This single, particularly hearing Kanye, J Dilla influence type of usage when it comes to high pitched samples, and I would even say throwing in some influences of what like Skrillex has done, as well as even K-pop reminiscent of like Perfume almost is I would say is even like in this kind of track. And is this something that you ever really go into thinking about, like these things that you like personally in music or with your production? It's just something that again I am not at a loss of words, but I always find myself really intrigued by how it is your production comes to be, because of the fact that with all these things said, you continue to stand in your very own lane, and I find that very refreshing as a person that enjoys music.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that a lot. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to do. It's kind of just all about cool music for me. Just like at the end of the day, that's it. Like I will just kind of absorb everything I'm listening to, whether it be like recently just a lot of pop music from the 90s and early 2000s, and I guess just trying to figure out what makes a song catchy, and like really the where it boils down to just like the core, like V resolves to one, like body feels good kind of thing, like just those moments in music that kind of just make you be like, oh, there's something happening there, like eventful type of music. I kind of sound like I'm rambling, but that's kind of just what I've kind of want Enrail to be about, is just finding something cool in music,
Yeah, and
just cool things.
and not to like interrupt here and everything, but I don't really think you're rambling. I think, one of the things that again also with like your I Got You to single here that I'm always again going back to your work a lot, even more than some of the people I feel you're influenced by nowadays, is that free formness that you have about your work, which is again something where I feel like you have some inherent thoughts and like planning out to do with your work, but at the same time it just feels just as free form as what it makes one want to do, which is just kind of enjoy the moment, whether it is in dancing or whether it's just actually sitting there and enjoying the track. And that's one thing that I've always liked about the what you do with your production. And I hope you don't feel like I was trying to get you to really delve too deep into how your process comes, but it's something again that
Uh,
I like to always take notice of when somebody is able to create a form of structured chaos. People try so hard, whether it's
yeah.
creatively or whatever it is that one does, to have that inherent sense of organized chaos. Yeah, you do it so well. So again, this is one of the things that I really enjoy with every single release. And with that, I want to ask the next thing here, which is, you to some have been primarily like linked or associated to the vaporwave community. Now, to some, it may be somewhat of a controversial um, take to have, but I've never really associated you with vaporwave. I've always found you as one of the many outsiders that is associated by, in part because of certain, influences that you have. But with this, I got you to track. I just feel like we're starting to see an Enrail that's becoming even way more brazen and open about this again being your own sound. Are we looking to hear something that is coming upon us that again is standing farther even than your previous releases that we've already heard? Or
Well, that's what I love about the community, the vaporwave community that I'm a part of, and I guess kind of birthed me at this point.
yeah,
Yeah. Like they don't care what kind of music you make as long as it sounds cool. And like, you can make a crazy ambient waterfall, like psychedelic journey type album, or you could just make crazy pounding, dancing club bangers. But like, as long as people enjoy it, then like, welcome.
yeah,
Let's have that shit here. And it's kind of like, it doesn't. It's kind of hard to tie that in with my creative process because I kind of just let shit happen.
yeah,
I just kind of will just drag something in and be like, oh, look what's going on here, and just chop everything up and arrange it, and just make things sound cool.
yeah,
But then like you don't really get like that big picture view until you just kind of just like zoom out and be like, oh, like that this doesn't sound anything like vaporwave, or this doesn't sound anything like Skrillex or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like it kind of an amalgamation
yeah,
of everything that I'm influenced by, and it's just like a living. Like I've tried having like completely streamlined like this is how this is gonna go, and rail like everything's gonna every album art is gonna be correlating in some way or something, but it kind of just I kind of just let it be an extension of just whatever music I'm making, whatever I think is cool at the time.
and that's great. And I think that's one of the reasons why you fit so well as at the same time with and the reason I bring this up is because one of the other common things that we both have, besides just working together in this way here at Sights and Sounds, is also that we have both released music with Pacific Plaza Records, which shout out to Pacific Plaza Records, is one of the most original, open, and friendly labels that I've actually had the pleasure of working with, and like knowing a pretty good amount of their artists. And that's where I'm headed with this next thing, which is at the same time with what you're doing, and your work and their work seems to fit so well when I'm talking to, and referring to artists such as like Sierra Mist, Earthboy Advance, Groovy Kaiju. You guys have all the same energies and spirits, and have such different, distinct sounds, and that's one of the things that, again, I feel like I just really wanted to mention in this way because I'm not wanting to use this interview necessarily as a way to, hopefully, anybody that's watching that's had certain doubts about their work or anything being out, but at the same time, I would like to use you and also some of those artists and how different they are because, yeah, I think sometimes even myself here in the interview, it could seem as if I'm to a degree overthinking certain aspects of your creative process, but through asking you these things I can really maybe understand a little better that hey bro, it's not that deep, it's just what I like and it sounds
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Exactly. But what you were saying about like the other artists that are like, I think you picked like the four best examples that you could have thought of Groovy Kaiju, Sierra Mist, Earthboy Vance, and me. We're all from like slightly different or majorly different backgrounds. And our musical influences just range from whatever the fuck to everything. But we're all like kind of here in the same scene and have all the same kind of niches going on that we're kind of building our own little thing here. We're just like four random dudes from the corner of wherever, kind of just creating their own thing. Like it's cool how the internet really brings just like these really niche groups of people that like are kind of meant for each other. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely. you know
Like, yeah, I have nothing but a ton of love for those three artists in particular that you mentioned, and like everyone at Pacific Plaza and all that. I feel like I don't know. I that's why I love the scene so much is because it can encompass anything and everything, which is what I like to do. Just taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things about your work too that I now, want to take into a different aspect is your sense of humor and how much I feel like that also interplays a lot with what you do, which again goes back into what we've been talking about not taking things so seriously. And I know that you're currently in the midst soon. I don't want to necessarily, promise or speak for you here during the interview, but I know you're going to soon be doing tours and things along that line. Are there things that you're thinking of as far as people who may want to represent their support of you that you may want to design? Because the reason I point that out is one of the things I feel that with your sense of humor and your um, let it beiness kind of way of being, your fashion also I feel could be a really good I guess asset as well to what you're doing here with your Enraile project. And I was wondering if you were ever thinking or have already considered that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of like from all the people I've met through making this music and being in these scenes, there's definitely just a lot of just fantastic like personalities that I would like to see broadcasted more. Like God, I really want to see like a reality TV show of like Pad Chennington or something. Like there's just like these great characters and great personalities out there that are just like so unrepresented that like but it's so crazy how we all kind of just somehow met together. It's like, like our friends Be Careful and Leo and Windmill and all those cool people. Like I kind of like just became friends with them, but it feels like I've been friends with them for years. Because like there's just so many like funny and awesome characters, and I think that's what I would want to see out of like a tour or something. Like as much of like a music as it is coming for the people, you know?
Yeah.
If that makes like I don't know, I just love all the people
Yeah. And
and like the vibes they encompass. Everyone brings a cassette and some weed with them. Like that's cool. Like that's kind of what you want going on at everyone because all the shows I've been and played to, like the local vaporwave scene shows here, they're always just a fucking blast. There's a bunch of people from San Diego or Phoenix who just came over to just to say hi or just to go to this show or and and we're all related via the internet.
Yeah,
But when once you make those connections in real life, like it's kind of next level. Like I want, maybe I'm thinking way too massive right now. I kind of did acid earlier, but I'm kind of thinking like we are in need of an Electronicon 3.
oh,
Like we
you
are in need for all the new, like the brand new friends, and like just these people who have just been so like tight knit, like every day Twitter for the past couple years, but opposite ends of the country have separated them. I think we need another Electronicon 3 to bring, just to bring everyone together.
I agree with
I
you.
feel like so much would bloom out of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and you know, I really appreciate the fact that you're being pretty open about this, especially during our interview, and given the circumstances of how you currently are at a headspace. But it's nice that you're kind of saying this because it's funny. I've been seeing actually online for the last like week or so a lot of people also speaking here and there. And I think we're going to manifest it. If you believe in those kinds of things, I think Electronic on 3 will happen soon. And some things will definitely
Definitely.
start popping a little more.
I feel like I feel like we had a little test run,
Yeah.
when all the shows were starting back up again, like, pre-pandemic. I feel like, because, like, Vaporwave, like, kind of got stopped dead in its tracks after Econ because they stopped the live shows. But then that brought, like, the URL shows. Like 500 billion new Vaporwave listeners were born out of the pandemic. And now there's all these new friends that we've made
Yeah.
that will be there for the next Electronicon.
Good. No, and it's great, and you know, and it's nice to hear that also mentioned because it's one of the things that, like, when I went to Electronicon and I saw all of you guys for the first time, I mean, I loved everybody on the bill, the lineup. Don't get me wrong, but I really went for a lot of you all. I wanted to meet
Yeah.
a lot of you guys, and I wanted you all to meet me and kind of, you know, make your own decisions as to what about me or our personalities. Because, you know, one of the things about us, and going back to what I mentioned about sense of humor. It's not just you. A lot of us have a funny sense of humor, but some of us also forget about that. So I think an electronic con and those kinds of situations too make it to where like maybe some one-sided tension or somebody that had a misunderstanding could kind of drop their guard a bit and being like, "Oh, this person was just a person who should posted something stupid and I shouldn't think anything else of it because they're pretty chill, you know?" I think places like Electronic Con really help that kind of tension go down, and as well as also inspiring people that would have probably never have wanted to do or thought of them doing something, you know, actually wanting to make something. Like, I mean, if I hadn't gone to Electronic Con and COVID had happened, I don't think I would have made Sights and Sounds, and I only say that because I having met a lot of you and having felt so strongly for a lot of your guys' work and what you guys are all about is what made me feel like I wanted to play a role besides just being a musician and an artist here in this community as well, but as a form of promoter or trying to be a representative of your guys' work, which is why when I do this show, I try to like approach it in a different way as if I was doing anything for myself. And you know, I really think that you're right. There's gonna be a lot of things that a lot of us aren't necessarily aware of, whether it's like maybe music expanding far more than maybe just merch and more into other ideas that are showing people and what personalities there are. And it's great to hear and say, you know, I'm also at a loss for words here, and I'm not even on acid just because of how true and deep that something like that is. And I really do appreciate you
Yeah.
mentioning that during your interview. It's really selfless, you know. We try to use these interviews for promotion, and to hear somebody say, "Hey, you know, there's more of us, and this is a whole thing," and everything. It's one of the things again is that shines a really big truth again of why we even do their show, and we set ourselves out to do interviews. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you for like keeping this perpetual, like Like it's really nice to just think about like the people and the music and the culture and all that good stuff as opposed to numbers and platforming and reaching out and stuff like that. It's that's not what it's about, you know. That's not what I'm about, at least. I fucking hate all that shit.
Yeah.
Like I just want to make music, like and like yeah, it would be fucking awesome if I could make $1 million off my music and live off just laying in bed and making funny sounds all day. But like none of that shit is as important to me as just like making something I'm proud of and that I enjoy and other people would enjoy too.
Yeah. And with all that, again, I see that you have a single, and we're coming pretty near the end of our interview here. But again, I hope I'm not pressing too much. But are we? Can we look forward to some new music of yours anytime soon?
Most definitely. I have a full album that's been ready for a while and it's kind of just itching to drop and hopefully it will be made happen if that makes
Yeah. No. No. I
hopefully
hear
it'll
you.
hopefully it will come out sooner rather than later. And then I just have a bunch of other cool music and sounds and stuff that I'm just always working on. Nothing completely set in motion quite yet, but I'm kind of just having a discovery period, I guess. I'm in the Bronze Age or whatever, just finding cool things on the internet to base my life around.
No, that's great. And when one other thing I want to mention and ask before we again uh, pretty much finalize our conversation for today is there anybody right now that you want to send a hi or a shout out to that may watch this either on the live stream or later on in an archive?
There's no way I'm going to be able to list everyone who I'm loving right now, but first of all, thank you to Manny. Thank you, Manny, for doing this show and keeping me a part of the scene and introducing me to all these cool people and ideas and concepts. Uh, you don't realize like how much of like a big influence and connection you are to everyone. And sorry, Jesus, I'm
You're
need
good.
some water. Um, reversed reference, Carter, awesome dude. Check him out. Makes honestly his music is like really kind of in line with mine. I feel like in a certain weird kind of way. Super talented guy. Jez EXE to MP3, the homie from Australia. He's got his shit going on. He's making really cool music. Uh, be careful. You're the fucking homie. PJ Rourke has been really inspiring me lately.
I love
The
them.
shit that PJ Rourke makes is just fucking astonishing. It's like how good their and sound their like lore and art styles and themes are. It's just like baffling to me. It's fucking incredible just staring at some of the art they make.
Yeah, no, they're great. We've always championed PJ here at Sights and Sounds. Well, Enro, it was a pleasure to have you back on, and what an appropriate interview to have, and what we're not necessarily considering our openly Valentine's Day episode, but seeing that you and Young Chuck are basically like the two big people that we wanted for this February episode, we thought, hey, this, I guess in and of itself, it became a Valentine's Day episode because of how much love these
Yeah, I
two
guess
dudes
so.
just exude all the time. And with all that,
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of love, here's my beautiful girlfriend, Monica, right here.
uh,
Hi.
Monica, it's been a while since we've seen you, and that we here at Sights and Sounds want to say we hope to see your show back on at some point. I know you've been doing quite some stuff yourself, but what you had going and what you did as well also kind of kept us pretty inspired here at the show. So we just kind of wanted to mention that, as well as also mentioning that we really love what you've been doing with your art through hair. Because at least I can speak for myself. I would love nothing to one day maybe have a really stylish cut by you.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
do. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
right now I feel like I'm just like growing and like paying rent, and that's
Yeah.
like, but trying to keep like the dream going. I do want to
Mhm.
get back into like interviewing, and
And
you
podcasts
still
and stuff.
really inspire me.
Yeah,
Ah,
we've been talking a little bit about
Yeah,
some cool things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
well,
and
I,
the
I,
fact that you like continue and you keep striving and like that, I love that.
Yeah.
I just, yeah,
I
I
really
love
Yeah.
I do.
appreciate it. And with all that said, well, we'll be back with more. And thank you guys again for this interview. Oh, hey, how was that video? Did you enjoy it? Well, if you did, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, and we'll be sure to notify you whenever we have more content. And along with that, if you look down at the description, you can go ahead and follow our twitch.tv/Codex Encyclopedia channel, in which we host the parent show, which is Sights, Sounds, and Conversations, where we take after MTV and Adult Swim and try to bring you a programming like block of entertainment and variety of, well, what makes us all feel individual, special, and happy here on the internet. So come check us out, and we'll be sure to try to entertain you as much as we possibly can. Have a good one.